I'm using quite a bit of force. It's not going anywhere. Welcome back to Don's Life. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining today. Behind me, we have my 2023 Corvette C8 Stingray. We are going to upgrade the look of the rear diffuser with these add-on rear diffuser fins in a nice carbon fiber finish. Let's go. So first, let's do a little bit of a walk around and just try to understand the current status of the car. So this is my 2023 Corvette Stingray. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I received it October 2023, late October actually, close to Halloween. I drove it from Edmonton back to Saskatoon. We immediately threw winter wheels on it because we wanted to make sure we had the ability to drive it once the temperatures got too low for the summer only tires. So that was established first. It is an all black car. We have wrapped it with Vivid vinyl. We have the Ultra Gloss white. We have some red accents also by Vivid. And this is a temporary wrap, so all of that's gonna come off here in the next couple months. Maybe sooner, maybe a little later, I don't know yet. But the car will go back to all black. Maybe we'll leave it like that for a while because it is paint protection film covered for most of the car, but we could still wrap it. So I'm open to suggestions, or I'll just keep it black. Maybe I'll make it satin black with gloss black accents. I really love that look, but I also want it to pop. So I'm kind of torn. Anyway, leave your comments down below. Remember, I can wrap my own vehicles, so I can change it whenever I want, really. But a bit of a walk around here. We've done quite a bit. We have a more aggressive front splitter from Extreme Online Store. I've added this tow hook because I think it just, well, I think it looks cool. Not that you can tow with that, it would break instantly. I'm probably gonna tint the headlights. I've got some tint from Vivid. We'll be doing that in an upcoming video. I have these larger XL splash guards on the front and the back, also from Extreme Online Store. I got the 5VM side skirts from Extreme Online Store. I have the regular ducktail spoiler from Extreme Online Store. They make a performance model that's even bigger, a little more aggressive. I think that one suits it just fine. And today, we are going to install these rear diffuser fins on the diffuser that's back here, also from Extreme Online Store. You can see I got some masking tape there. I'll explain why I did that. Obviously it's for spacing, but I'll explain a little more in case you get a set of these for your C8 down the road. You can use some of my learnings and apply them to your install. That's a lot of stuff from Extreme Online Store, and I'm going to continue to get a few things from Extreme Online Store so I can provide installation guides for you here on the channel. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have other installation guides for other parts. You know me, I swap out parts on my GMC Sierra AT4 all the time, so it's not always going to stay the same. So for right now, we will have some demonstrations on Extreme Online Store parts. I got some genuine GMC parts coming. I've got some accessories that may not be intended for the C8 that we're going to be putting on here. So lots is in store. Definitely hit that subscribe button. But for today, let's focus on the diffuser and let's take a closer look at what these diffuser fins entail. So these are the fins here. Again, these are a carbon fiber finish. I'll actually say the finish on these and the clear coat is probably the best I've seen from any parts that I've received from them. Everything I've received has been okay, don't get me wrong. But there's like the odd little imperfection. When you look at the splash guards, for example, they are finished in the carbon flash metallic, but it doesn't quite have as much of the carbon flash pop as the factory paint does. Right here. I know it's hard to tell on camera, but you just have to trust me there. I still think they're good value. As an example, you can get these in carbon flash or you can get them in gloss black, I believe. I opted for the carbon fiber and I'm glad I did because I think it's going to look really good in there. Even after I take off the white vinyl, I think the carbon fiber will look good. And I do have some other carbon fiber bits that I want to accent the car with as time goes on. So what you'll notice right away with these is they have a different shape to them. This is the passenger side, this is the driver's side. That also means that the angles of these mounts underneath, you can see they're different. That's because if I was to take this and put it on here, you need it to line up perfectly with this tray underneath that it's going to bolt to. You want to make sure that that is all aligned properly, because if I just stick this anywhere, that angle is not going to work. If I stick it on the other side, you see the angle is completely off. It's not going to work. So I've already preset the spacing on these, and let me explain how I did that. So first thing I did is I took a measuring device like this, and what I did was I found out where center was. There's a body line here in the car, and I took this and I figured out that it is about 21 inches on each side to the center, at least where I was measuring to. I was measuring kind of to this tip right here. And then what I did is I took one of the fins, I figured out the right angles, so that's already done, and I just pushed it in here, and I started to look at the gap in the panel where this would mount. See, there's a gap there right now, it doesn't line up. And then if this was flush. And then all I did was I moved it over, and I ended up in this area right here, and it fits almost perfectly. There's no gap there, and more importantly, this is seated just right. So then I took a piece of tape and I put, that's where the center is going to be. And then I did it for the other one, which fit perfectly there. And then I measure between these two distances, dead center of the pieces of tape, and I ended up, and write this down, 10.5 inches. And then what I did is I grabbed another fin and I did the same thing, just moved it along, felt where it seemed to grip the best, and lo and behold, I ended up in this area. Checked under here, sits flush. I took a measurement, guess what? 10.5 inches. So if you write that number down, if you get a set of these, 10.5 inches, give or take a 1/16 of an inch. I found 10.5 inches fit just right for the spacing of my fins. Now we have to figure out how to mount them. So when you receive these, you'll see there's these plastic screws in the existing holes, and there's 3 holes per each one of these, and then you're going to drill some holes for that under tray to secure this end. You just take these plastic screws out, then you take these bolts and use it to screw into all of these. So bolting these in is pretty straightforward. You're going to line it up like we talked about, and then where you see this white fake screw, you'll actually replace it with the metal ones they provide you, but we just have to be able to get in there to put the new screws in. You could pull the bumper. I'm gonna try not to pull the bumper and just reach my scrawny hands and wrists in there, but looking right now, that might be a little difficult, so I might have to pull the bumper. We'll see. But that's the idea, is that these go in. Optionally, you can attach this screw, which I'm not going to do, because to do that, you'd have to drill into your diffuser. I'm not doing that. That's just to make it extra secure, but I think between hooking it up to the mesh and then attaching it underneath, this should be secure and isn't going anywhere. You could put some double-sided tape in this gap right here. Unless I'm concerned about it rubbing, then I'll put a piece of tape in there so it can't rub. So. Okay, so I've went ahead and I've installed 2, and they are very, very secure. So I'm going to walk you through the install for the last 2 that go over here. A couple things I noticed though is because of this honeycomb mesh right here, you need to be very aware of how they're going to line up. You don't want one screw, say here, and then the other one below it off to the side. You need to use holes that are in line with each other. Because of that, it ended up pulling this one just a little bit inward. But as you can see, we're still pretty close to center. It's just off maybe 1/8 of an inch. So I'm okay with that. I decided not to put double-sided tape in here because, look at that. I'm using quite a bit of force. It's not going anywhere. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's kind of what it looks like so far. But let me walk you through the last 2. I'll probably have to do a time lapse when it comes to the ratcheting of the bolts in behind. I use the ones that they sent me. Problem is, the gap right here is so narrow. Now I can get my hand in there. If I put my hand down at the end, I can kind of slide it down. Not at this angle, I need to be laying down on the ground. But once I'm laying down on the ground, I can get my hand pretty much in behind, and then I can use a 7mm socket on the end of a ratchet. In some cases, I can use the longer one, and what ends up happening is I can still reach the handle underneath, and I can tighten the bolts. So there's a way to do it without taking off the bumper. It does take some time, tedious, might be frustrating for some of you and you just want to pull the bumper. I'm going to finish it up without pulling the bumper because I was able to do it with those 2. So let's go. All right, we got 3 done. As you can see, that was a bit tedious. We still need to secure it down here. Just make sure when you secure it down there, and I'll walk you through it, we're gonna drill a little pilot hole, and I'm gonna use some different screws than what you came with, but you wanna make sure these are nice and vertical, otherwise that might drive you crazy. We'll secure that, and then I have an idea to make this one go a lot quicker. This was done with just hand tools, with a 7mm ratchet, and really hard on my skin from trying to wedge my hand up in between the muffler cover and the plastic there. Okay, so instead of using the nuts and bolts they provided, which are these here, I have some of these I'm choosing to use. They just have a little more of an OEM look to them. So I'm gonna use these. They're a little bit smaller too than the nuts and bolts, so I don't have to drill as big of a hole. I got a little drill bit here. We're gonna go ahead and get that going. And let's make sure to secure these by hand. We wanna hand tighten them because I do not wanna crack the plastic on these when I go to secure them. Here we go. Nice, straight, and secure. So for this last one to go to plan, we need both bolts lined up. And then I'm going to fish this up into the cavity, and I'm going to try and tighten it this way because doing it by hand with the hand ratchets there took a long time and was quite tedious. Again, you could opt to pull the bumper. I'm very stubborn. I'm not doing that. Yes, I could undo some of the fasteners, which would loosen this a little bit, but then I'd have to tighten it all back up again and then tighten these. So I'm leaving this in place and doing this whole job. There's a few different ways you could do this. This is just one of them. So follow along while I finish this last one. Okay, we are done. Got everything secured, nice and straight. Let's peel off our tape here. Remember, this white piece is just some wrap. Normally it's carbon flash metallic. So there we go. A couple different angles for you. But what I'm going to do is I'll pull the car out now. I need to park it, make room for the SUV to put here. And as you can see, it's nighttime based on the darkness through the windows. We'll wait till it's light tomorrow. We'll pull the car outside as far as we can because there's a lot of snow and ice out there. And then we'll do a bit of a walk around and see how it looks. Don't mind the noise from the heater. Clearly it's winter outside now. The garage has to get the temperature, but we'll see you in the morning. Well, I think that turned out pretty good considering these are just a bolt-on to your existing diffuser. They sure make it look a lot more aggressive. There is a little bit of a gap on each one of these, just in this area here. The curvature just isn't exact, but unless you go look for it, you'd never know. So I'm pretty happy overall. So I think that will conclude today's video. Definitely check out Extreme Online Store. They got tons of parts for tons of different vehicles, not just C8s. Check them out. I'll leave a link in the video description below. And with that, I think I'll start another project over here. If you liked today's video, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. We'll talk to you next time.